Hello there, Year 6s, it's Mr. Conway here. Now today I'm going to give you a how-to guide on converting between miles and kilometers. So this is just going to be a little instructional video to help you solve some of these calculations today. So first of all, what does the squiggly wiggly equal sign symbol mean? So what this symbol means is it's an approximate. And if you look here, 5 miles, squiggly equal symbol, 8 kilometers. So this translates as 5 miles, not meals, 5 miles is approximately 8 kilometers, because miles and kilometers, these are our two different units of measurements that we are looking at today. So it doesn't say that 5 miles equals, it's not exactly the same as 8 kilometers, it's just an approximate, okay? So 5 miles is approximately 8 kilometers. Right, now we have this fact, we're going to use this to help us complete these missing information questions. So here I have 15 miles is approximately how many kilometers? Now some of you, as you already know, as I said to you a lot in the past, maths is all about spotting patterns. Now for this kind of calculation, what I think is the best thing to do is actually use some of your knowledge from ratios that we did a few weeks ago. So on the top here, I'm just going to put on here 5 miles is approximately 8 kilometers. Okay, I'm now going to change this slightly. Still keep my miles. I'm going to put this symbol in. Can you recognize this symbol? A lot of you remember it from a few weeks ago. This is my ratio symbol. The ratio of miles to kilometers is 5 to 8. This is going to be Mr. Conway's top tip, and it will really help you for the rest of today's lesson. So let's just have a look at the question again. 15 miles is approximately how many kilometers? Right then, so I'm going to go back to my ratio. 5 miles, ratio symbol, kilometers is 8. Now then, I need to know what 15 miles is. So 15 miles, how do I get from 5 to 15? I need to know this information. How do I get from 5 to 15? What's the pattern? Can we spot it? Yeah, it's multiplied by 3. 5 times 3 is 15. So I'm going to do the same to the 8. 8 times 3, 8, 16, 24. So I'll go back to my original worksheet. 15 miles is approximately 24 kilometers. So using the ratios is really, really the key to this kind of calculation. Right, next is 30 miles. And I need to calculate what the missing kilometers are. 30 miles. I'm just going to rub out what I've got here so far, but keep my ratio the same as 5 to 8, 5 miles to 8 kilometers. But this time, I know 30 miles, right? So I've got 30, put my 30 miles here. How do I get from 5 miles to 30 miles? What's the pattern? What can we do? 5 multiplied by what is 30? I can hear you shouting out at the screen. It is 6, Mr. Conway. I'm going to do the same to the other side of this ratio. 8 times 6 is 48. 48 kilometers. So really, the math that you're doing is very simple. All you've done is 6 times 5 and 6 times 8. So for year 6s, I think that's pretty simple if you ask me. Right then, so 30 miles is is approximately 48 kilometers. Now for our next question, something miles is approximately 160 kilometers. So this is a bit of a twist actually, because I've got my kilometers, I need to calculate my miles. Right, so I'm going to go back to my board with the ratio on. I heard someone the other day, instead of saying ratio, they called them Horatios, and I thought that's a character from Shakespeare, isn't it, Horatio? But then I didn't quite like the idea of calling these the Horatio Shakespearean calculations. Right then. Kilometers were 160. What's the pattern? How do I get from 8 to 160? Now, some of you might be shouting at the screen, but Mr. Conway, I don't actually know my 8 times table all the way to 160. Well, actually, there's a few tricks we could do here. With the 160, we could reduce this down to just 16. How many times is 8 going to 16? It's twice. So 8 times 2 is 16, and I'm going to scale this up to 160. So 8 times 20 is 160. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. 5 times 20, well, I'll use my number facts. 5 times 10 is 50, so 5 times 20 must be 100. 100 miles for every 160 kilometers. Right then, so I'm going to go back to my sheet again. 100 miles is approximately 160 kilometers. So ratios is the way forward to solve these calculations. I just want to spend a little bit of time now looking at the next question, which is a twisted. We've got the same ratio, the same approximation of 5 miles is approximately 8 kilometers, but this time it says 10 miles is approximately 16 kilometers, and we know that's true. Okay, what I'm going to do is going to write that on here, that 10 miles is approximately 16 kilometers. Now the only difference here is I need to first of all calculate what 1 mile is. 1 mile is approximately how many kilometers? 1 mile is approximately how many kilometers? So I'm going to go back to my board, I'm going to rub my first ratio out. I'm going to write on here 10 miles is approximately 16 kilometers. And now I'm going to change this into a ratio. So I'm going to put an M there for miles, km there for kilometers, put my ratio symbol in because that's what I'm going to use to help me here. 10, ratio symbol, 10 to 16. But I want to know what 1 mile is. So how do I go from 10 to 1? Now in the previous calculations we were multiplying. This time I'm working my way down and reducing this. I'm actually going to be dividing. 10 divided by what is 1? That's 10 divided by 10. 10 divided by 10 is 1. Actually, any number divided by itself will always be 1. Now I'm going to do the same to our kilometers. So 16 divided by 10. I'm going to use my knowledge of place value. It's going to be 1.6. So for every 1 mile, you have 1.6 kilometers, approximately, okay? Right then, so I'm going to fill in the missing information from here. 1 mile is approximately 1.6 kilometers. Right, I've got some good information here. I can now calculate, drop my pen, so calculate the rest of these missing information facts. 2 miles is approximately how many kilometers? 2 miles is approximately how many kilometers? Right, so for this calculation, I'm going to use the knowledge that I already have that 1 mile is the same as 1.6 kilometers. So every step I do here, I'm using my answers, my knowledge from the previous calculation to help me move forward, which I think is a good little metaphor for life in there somewhere. So 1 mile is approximately 1.6 kilometers. Get my ratio ready, M for miles, km for kilometers. I'm going to be using ratios now, 1 mile to 1.6 kilometers. And the original question was, 2 miles is approximately how many kilometers? Now you should easily start spotting the patterns here, year 6s. How to get from 1 to 2? Ah, nice and easy. I'm going to just double. Do the same on the other side. Double 1.6, you could think of it as double 16 and add your decimal point in again. But double 1.6 is going to be 3.2. So 2 miles is approximately 3.2 kilometers. I really hope during this little how-to guide, all that knowledge that you did, all that learning you've done on ratios is at the forefront of your mind. Moving further down, 4 miles is approximately how many kilometers? And what I'm going to do here, actually, I'm going to use my knowledge, what I've already calculated. I'm going to use this learning to calculate this. I might even do this one on the sheet, because hopefully you should start spotting the patterns now. To get from 2 miles to 4 miles, you can clearly spot that pattern. I'm multiplying by 2. I'm doubling again. So I'll do the same for this side. I'm going to multiply this by 2. Double 3.2 is going to give me 6.4. So just to clarify here, year 6s, you know, the maths calculations you are doing, 2 times 2 is 4, 3.2 times 2 is 6.4. This is easy maths. Come on, guys, we can do this. Now, the final one is 0.5 miles is approximately how many kilometers? 0.5 miles this time, so it's quite a small amount. What I'm going to use, which fact should I use to help me? Which statement? Should I use the 1 mile as approximate, 2 miles as approximate, or 4 miles as approximate? I think I will use the 1 mile that's approximate. Again, spotting the patterns, because I know that 0.5 is exactly half of a 1 mile, and I think that might be a calculation I could solve quite easily. So I'll go back to my calculation board, which I've already got my 1 to 1.6 ratio on there. And this time I know that my miles is going to be 0.5. Put my ratio symbol in here again. How do we get from 1 to 0.5? I'm dividing by 2. I'm halving what's already there. So I'll do the same to the kilometres. Half of 1.6, again, you can think of this as 16 and add your decimal point in at the end. It'll be 0.8. So half a mile is approximately 0.8 kilometres. Right, I'm going to pop that into my statement box. 0.5 miles is approximately 0.8 kilometres, because all I've done, I'm just going to write it on here again, I've just divided everything. So there you are, year sixes. You know, top tips there, use your ratio symbols, and also use the calculations you've already done to help you for further calculations. Apart from that, have a really good day, everybody. Enjoy yourselves, and Mr. Conway loves a ratio. Bye-bye.